Weeksboro, Maine. Would you mind telling me where we're going? To a motorboat waiting in a cove, said Alexandra, ready to take us to a French duke's estate on one of Maine's countless islands, there to join his harem. Dream on! I bumped her off the shoveled sidewalk and into the snow. I'm serious! Siesta una surprise, said Alexandra. You know I'm taking German. I also know you're brilliant enough to figure it out, and that I hate surprises. Honestly, Steph, relax. The clearest winter days are the coldest. I gave my scarf a third and nearly fatal wrap around my neck. It's too freezing outside for Ouija walking, an Alexandra invention in which you walk without any conscious plan, letting your feet go where they will. We're not going Ouija walking, she said. The Nook is closed on Sunday, so we can't steal scenes. Another of her amusements consisting of ordering something at Weeksboro's one restaurant and listening to the people at the neighboring table, and then talking about what they're talking about, carburetors, hysterectomies, completely ignoring them when they stare at you. We're not heading toward the Nook, as you can plainly see, Chatty. We passed the town hall, fanged with icicles, and turned down Beach Street. So where are we going? Out to the point, near Pam McQuillan's, to throw a lifeline to a friend in distress. What friend? Alexandra smiled. You. I stopped, but she didn't. I caught up, skidding on the ice. What are you talking about? She sighed, producing a cloud of vapor. You don't like surprises. You like certainties, facts, an extremely dangerous side effect of having a marine biologist for parents. So let's look at the facts. First, we're 8th graders. We're in our biological prime. In many cultures around the world, we'd already be married and bearing children. Soon our beauty will fade. Very soon. Just look at Sheila Spurl's older sister. Second, 3 weeks and 6 days ago, Trevor and I pledged our love to each other. Third, you remain unattached, as you've been all 2.5 years of middle school. Fourth, it's the Christmas holidays, a time known to be especially painful for single people like yourself. Fifth and last and most important, we've been best friends ever since nursery school. Who else but me has written you a birthday poem for 6 straight years? And who else besides you shows up at the great books discussion group I started? I don't want this to come between us, Steph. We have to find you a boyfriend. We turned down Bolton Road. I was stunned. What have you got waiting out here? I pictured selection of boys tied to trees and penned naked in cages. And who says I even want a boyfriend? If you won't say it, then I will. Alexandra pulled her cap over her ears. Commuting with the urchins and eels in your aquariums cannot be totally satisfying. It's time to move up to warm-blooded creatures. Boys, I'll admit, don't satisfy all needs. It's difficult to discuss Jane Austen with Trevor. Extremely difficult. That's why I value you. But there are some things males do awfully well. Yeah, like rape, warfare, water pollution, and some things that you could do to attract them, like letting your hair grow out for one. Show me one Playboy model who looks like she gets her hair done by the U.S. Marines. Long hair is mesmerizing to male humans. This is the kind of science you should be studying. Long hair is a hassle. Life is a hassle. La vie est dure. But it's worth it, right? You could also stoop to using some makeup, eyeliner, blush, something on your lips, and look like some washed-up Hollywood star on the cover of National Enquirer. I could see Alexandra roll her eyes. Didn't we have this exact discussion at sailing camp last summer? I'm telling you, the natural windblown look won't get you very far. It's strictly for the homeless and war refugees. She sighed. It's as if you're trying to repel boys. When we get to choose a language last year, you could have picked French, the language of love. But instead, you chose German, the most masculine language on the face of the earth. Honestly, Steph, a girl taking German might as well write gay and proud on her forehead. I don't believe it. Have you ever been asked out? I had no reply to toss back at her. And then there's your name. And what's wrong with that? Nothing, said Alexandra. If you would use it, Stephanie, says slinky, shapely, a perfect name to go with long hair. But when I hear Steph, the first thing that comes to my mind is strep, as in strep throat, and I'm just being brutally honest with you. Yeah, thanks, I noticed. I've jammed my gloves into my pockets. Of course, since I'm not slinky and shapely, and in fact I'm puny in every department with freckles and oily drab brown hair, Steph seems to be the perfect name for me. Alexandra was silent. She seemed to shrink into her parka, trying to be less tall, less blonde, less beautiful. She kicked a rock. I'm sorry, Steph. Please delete this entire conversation, she mimed, pressing a computer key. You're incredibly intelligent. You're funny. You're loyal. You're another Marie Curie in our midst, and any bonehead boy who doesn't see that is an idiot. We passed by the McQuillans' house. Fortunately, the method we'll be using should attract a male who's worthy of you. We could now glimpse the bay in the gaps between the spruces. We turned off the road toward an abandoned house. What about the keep out sign? Oh, you mustn't take everything so literally, Steph. She blazed a path down the unplowed drive, punching her boots through the foot of snow. And despite my praise for your intelligence, it would be best that you leave your literal, logical mind at this point. Hey, no problem. Just call me Lucille Ball. Gulls squawked mockingly above. We passed the empty house. It was white painting peeling and half its windows boarded up. We tramped between a clothesline and a shed, leaning drunkenly to one side. The water was in full view now, an icy wind plucking at it and turning my face to stone. So why are we here? Of all places. That's why. Andrea stopped and pointed at a strange contraption near the edge of the cliff. What is it? We approached. It was as big as a box kite and mounted on a pole, gesticulating wildly and moving arms, vanes, wheels, and propellers large and small. I'd never seen it. It was all different colors. It didn't resemble anything in particular except at the top, where there was a woman's head, and attached to her hair were 3 reflectors. Shells and chimes hung around her neck. Even with half the moving parts stuck, a gust blowing through it set off a flurry of fluttering and shimmering and ringing as if a flock of exotic birds was taking flight. I squinted my eyes against the wind. Who made it? I think we can rule out the Pilgrims. How should I know? It's always been here. What's written on the wood? Leah Rosalia Santos Zamora. What's that? I'm pretty sure it's a prayer to the wind. And how is this thing going to get me a boyfriend? It isn't. Alexandra pulled a paperback book from her back pocket. But this will. She handed it to me. It's called Guided Imagery for Successful Living. I gawked at her. You've got to be kidding. Do you even know what guided imagery is? No, but I know I don't like it. You said the same thing last year about boiling down Pepsi and pouring it over ice cream, and now you love it. That's different. Then you can forget what I said about Marie Curie. She believed in the scientific method, observation, hypotheses, experiment. So what's the hypotheses? That thoughts are powerful, that they're the seeds of events, that by thinking something we can make it happen. It was my turn to roll my eyes now. I can't believe you found a way to link Marie Curie with this mumbo-jumbo. This is not mumbo-jumbo. She took back the book and struggled to turn the pages with down mittens on her hands. Here, listen. All that is the result of what we have thought. Wow, I'm convinced. I want to join your cult now, unless we have to pierce our noses. That was written for your information by an ancient Buddhist monk. Yeah, named Yogi Berra. Stop it, Steph. This is serious. I'll say it is if I get frostbite standing here. Why can't we talk this over somewhere else? Because this is the perfect place for guided imagery. She pointed at the flashing whirligig. You can't see the wind, but look what it can do. It's invisible, but so powerful, like thoughts. One brings a bunch of junk to life, the other brings desires, and it's better if you broadcast your thoughts outside. I did a visualization in this exact spot about acing an algebra test, and it worked. I'm sure it's because of the whirligig. It symbolizes all unseen forces. She stared at me. It's like electricity and invisible power that people didn't know existed for centuries. If you learn to use your thoughts, you can do all kinds of things. She flipped through the book. There are visualizations here to make you resistant to illness, to overcome stress, to build confidence. All right, let's hear it. Alexandra stamped down a circle of snow and sat. I did the same, leaning my back against hers. Seek out a comfortable, nurturing place and feel the gentle air against your skin. And your butt freeze into the ground? Perhaps you'll choose a quiet room or a peaceful corner of a garden. Breathe deeply. Feel yourself relax. Now feel the inner strength within you. Imagine this strength is a mighty river. Or for those with low confidence, a drip from a faucet. We're going to take a journey down this river. But remember, do not drink the water. She threw down the book. I am trying to help you. She dumped a handful of snow on my head. But your scoffing scientific mind won't let me. Secretly, you want to be an old maid despite her 7 Nobel Prizes. The 88-year-old spinster was in contact with neither friends nor relations. Her decomposed body had apparently been lying on her laboratory floor for years. The corpse was identified through dental records. Now there's some imagery I can go for. 7 Nobel Prizes. Laugh your head off. Listen, Alexander, I'm sorry, but it's too much like those men on TV who bend spoons with their thoughts. That's quackery. This isn't. And are you going to tell me there's a fantasy in the book that attracts boyfriends? Well, not exactly. I thought I'd create one for you. You don't need a book. Anyone can lead a visualization. It's too cold and windy. The wind helps. Don't you get it? It'll carry my words away like seeds and plant them in the future. You're a true mush-headed dreamer. Thank you. And you're a closed-minded skeptic. Now, what do you say? Either I say yes or I freeze to death arguing. So make it fast and let's go. Great, she said. But you wouldn't want me to skip on details, would you? I mean, we are deciding your future here. You don't want that standard LL Bean wasp boyfriend in plaid or navy. You want someone designed just for you. It's you I'm doing this for, not me. Have faith, mon ami. Okay, close your eyes. We were back to back, so she couldn't see me. I obeyed anyway. It's summer, July. Must be a cold spell. You feel the balmy air on your skin as you complete your pleasant morning sail and tack into Portland's harbor. Your hand is on the tiller of a 16-foot all-wood gaff-rigged sailboat your parents have bought you. Painted across the stern is the name you've chosen, Free Spirit. Why not hunk of love and my phone number? Shh! You're gonna wreck it. You tie up at the dock, you haul down the sails and check the specimens in the holding tanks you fitted it out with. You step ashore, your waist-length hair waving in the breeze like kelp. Guys really go for kelp-like hair? Would you shut up and listen for a change? She paused, seemingly to search for what to have happen next. Leisurely, you make your way up to Belk's department store. You enter and glance at the perfumes, and then you know the confidence and beauty you project is more potent than any scent. You go up 2 floors and try on a gorgeously embroidered French sundress. It's not on sale. You buy it anyway and decide to wear it. Next, you drift into the lingerie department. You approach the bras, find the 28s, and don't stop until you reach the D cups. No, I said that's too big. I opened my eyes to see if the wind had already carried off this request. The whirligig was spinning merrily. You buy one. The scrawny saleswoman gives you an envious glare. Then you exit the store, stroll 3 doors down the block, and enter a coffee house. Your parents have encouraged you to drink coffee to slow your amazing growth this year. You've shot up 5'8.5". Standing in line, you feel male eyes upon you. You turn and see them. He's tall like you. His neck is thick as a tree trunk. He glances back at his Sports Illustrated. His lips move not only when he reads, but when he looks at photographs. A Neanderthal. You avert your eyes. You get an iced coffee and take a seat far away. My teeth are chattering like maniacs, and I'm supposed to imagine drinking iced coffee? Quiet! You pick up French newspaper from an empty table and you begin to read fluently. Through an intensive course on videotape, you've mastered the language in record time. Last night, you realized you had a dream in French, powerfully erotic, drenching you in sweat. A man now approaches. She paused, deliberating. He's wearing a beret. He's handsome and young, and he speaks to you in French. You instantly detect his faulty pronunciation of the French R, and then an innocent participle. He's a coffeehouse cad, a pickup artist. You send him away with a brisk liaison, an idiom meaning I am not real anyway. You finish your drink, walk to a bookstore, and you wander over to the magazines. You pick up the latest Crab and Clam. Reading it while sauntering down the sidewalk, you feel a nudge. A man's grabbing your purse. Your body is ready, fluid and forceful as you crush his instep and try out a new combination of moves from your self-defense training. You regret that he'll be in traction for years. The police cart him off and compliment you. You're discouraged, however, by the sad specimens of manhood you've encountered to this day. The glow of your mental, physical powers is a beacon and lasts to the entire male sex. Aren't you getting a little grabby? She was silent, and then she inhaled deeply as if swelling with inspiration. You walk back to your boat and examine more closely the strange eel you netted on the way in. You suspect you've discovered a new species and wonder who you'll name it for, immortalizing the person you chose. You raise the sails, cast off, and head out. She paused. Past Princess Point, you spot something to starboard. A lobster buoy? No, a human head. And then a hand comes up waving for help. You tack, come alongside, heave to, and help the unfortunate aboard. He's 16, tall and lean, with gypsy-like black hair and soulful eyes. He can't stop shivering. There's something we have in common. He capsized while sea kayaking and had become separated from his craft. You help him take off his wet clothes and you wrap him in a blanket. He's unable to get warm. You spot the symptoms of hypothermia. You have no hot drinks or source of heat. And suddenly from your first aid class you remember about heat donation. Without a thought you do as you learned. You throw off your sundress and everything underneath it and embrace him tightly under the blanket, passing your body's warmth to his. She halted, seeming to savor the story. The color begins to return to his cheeks. You notice the slightest of accent when he speaks. He reveals he's Canadian. French Canadian. He spots your copy of Crab and Clam and mentions that he has a subscription. For 5 years he's been studying barnacle reproduction. Sadness clouds his eyes when he tells you that both of his parents are dead and that barnacles are his only real family. You remain together under the blanket longer than is strictly required. She paused, and when you emerge, he knows there will be more in his life than barnacles, and you know you will name your next species for him. Alexander was quiet for a time. Now just sit with your eyes closed and hold the image in your head, with your sarcastic mouth shut. I leaned back against her for 5 frigid minutes, listening to the invisible wind powering the whirligig. It rattled, hummed, squeaked, and chimed. And then I heard a different kind of sound. It was a human sound, a soft throat clearing. I opened my eyes. My heart began racing. Had her words really lured a mate already? Impossible, I thought. I was still 5'1", but what else would bring someone to this point in this weather? Disbelieving, fearful, hopeful, I slowly turned my head and stared. All that was 3 winters ago. I'm only 5'4", still a 28A. I do not own my own sailboat. I still classify my manner of thinking as logical and scientific, which is why I have trouble explaining how the 9-year-old boy who watched us that day turned out to be the little brother of Kyle, who lives 2 towns west and was visiting relatives here over Christmas, the McQuillans, and who's been my heart's joy since the day we met. He's neither French nor French-Canadian, tall, a biologist, nor a sea kayaker. Jazz trumpet is his life. He plays his compositions to me over the phone. I haven't become a mush-headed dreamer, but just in case unseen forces do exist, I pay my respects to them by keeping the whirligig painted and repaired. I check it after every winter. Sometimes Alexander helps. We're careful about what we say while we're there, despite which I had no hesitation in announcing that when I discover a new species, out of gratitude, I will give it her name.